Alright, we're gonna be watching CheeseRat47. That's an interesting name. Playing Tracer on Nepal. This is Diamond 4. I took a quick look. I think this is PC would be my guess. Diamond 4 player trying to learn Tracer, looking for help identifying what I did good, what I need to work on. I felt like I played pretty well both games, so I think they're both good games to VOD because I'm sure I made tons of mistakes I don't realize. I'm mainly looking for help with my engage timing and improving on distracting supports, but there might be something I don't know I need help on, so if you see anything like that, please point it out. Alright, let's watch. For normal, I agree. I think there's a good path to take versus the right side, which is much more open. A lot of patience being shown here, which I think is good. You're doing crouch spam. you and the Hanzo clearly hear each other, and you're both kind of like chilling here, so it's basically neutral value. Your Hanzo gets a kill. You just have to go farm the tank, which I think is okay. I mean, you're getting some value versus zero value. I don't know how you feel on the Hanzo 1v1, right? I think, especially with jump / crouch spam, I think you are favored if you can get in this room and come out, right? And then even if he hits you, just recall, take another fight, and then if you get hit, come back, get the mega, and then come back and kill him, right? I think, I'm not a great Tracer player by any means. Like, I'm probably even like my 50-50 point for Tracer is probably like Diamond 5 maybe, so I'm probably like even a little worse than you, is my guess. But my feel here is I think you're favored in this fight, and you could have taken this fight. That being said, I don't think you have to take 1v1s necessary to win, so it's fine. Oh, you're thinking about doing it. It's a good flank, really good flank like that. Yep, like this flank too. Right, just wasting time for the Rhine. Peek again. So one thing I'd like to see you do is jiggle peek like quickly. So like you kind of swing it like hard, and if you knew they knew you were there, so I would be worried about the Ana, for example, like trying to sneak me there. So just going back to this, like you see how you kind of commit going around the corner, but it's entirely possible that somebody was waiting for you. Pretty good tracking. So you go for the melee here. Like, is it worth a blink in exchange to get 30 damage and a little bit of risk? I don't think so. Right? It's like you clearly had no chance of actually killing the Ashe, so I think you just recall back and save it. So it's funny, you did a full ammo here when you recalled, which is odd. Oh no, you do have full ammo. You just waste it. Yeah, that's a big whiff. So you wasted 12 ammo before you start shooting this Mercy, who should have just died right here. But my teammates help out, so it's fine. Great, take it. Yep. Cool. So far, so good. Yeah, really not a lot for me to critique here, honestly. This looks really good. So now you're in a Tracer mirror. I think you definitely need to get out of this spot, right? You're not going to do a lot here, and you're just going to get spammed out. I think that I would probably play here or even here, because you have point control anyway. So I'd be worried about the Tracer flanking and going after my squishies, because your whole backline is very vulnerable to any dive / flankers. So your team doesn't need you to hold this choke, right? If I'm playing the Ramattra, I'm like, just get out of here, because you're not going to do anything, okay? I need you to make sure that they don't touch point and cap it for free / go after the backline. So I think that your perspective here should shift from I need to flank to I need to defend flank, right? I need to mark flankers. So Zen dies here. I think this is mostly your Zen's fault for just playing way out in the open. Yeah, it's pretty silly. I don't think so. Yeah, I think this spot over here on stairs is really good to play as well. So I don't know if this is what causes you to try to go for the trade. In general, I would say don't try to throw a pulse here. Like if it was 5 and 5, I would say do not throw this pulse because you don't need to, right? You already have point control. You don't need to do anything. Like, they don't have an advantage. But now they killed one, you kind of need to get a kill to try to turn this around. This is a really hard pulse to throw, in my opinion. You're going head on to somebody who has both left and right strafe possibilities. I think it's a really hard pulse to land. If you land it, it's good, right? And puts you back in even. But without it, I think, or without landing it, you're obviously going to be in trouble. So now you have no blinks, which is really unfortunate. You go this way to go up the back line, which I think is a good idea. Right? You can't go towards point right now with no blink. If you had blinks, you definitely could play point. You could play point here and fight this out. But without blinks, I think this is the best move you got. So, interesting that you don't get more aggressive here. What actually hits you? Oh, just her? Yeah. I mean, I understand this. You could have been a little more aggressive there and gotten a little closer, but I also understand not being aggressive because Soldier Overclock was on. I think that's a mistake. So, tanks are always more squishy than you imagine. If you're going to do this, I would have gotten up close to make sure I get the headshots. But his head's like in the wall right now, so this is not a great opportunity. I think that just like chilling or waiting for somebody else to wake him and then shooting would have been the call. Right? I would have wanted to see like an Ana grenade, for example. Great, really good kill on the Moira. Yeah, very careful about going in front there. Going for Tracer, she might know you don't have rewind. So far, everything looking good. Oh, rough tracking. It's a shame because your tracking otherwise has been really good. Yeah, you lose it there. I would say in this situation when you're coming in on the side, I would say don't move your mouse and just use your body to track. Like at this point, like once you've confirmed that you're on her, just use your body to track, and I think it'll be a lot easier and more consistent. But you know, I don't generally try to give any advice too much. Yep, I think this is a good pulse. Looked like it was going to be good. Now I'm starting to doubt whether or not that was a good pulse. So in retrospect, I think this is not a good pulse. I would have also thrown this pulse because you saw that grass was over. You saw that he was low. Your team was able to shoot him. But in reality, it actually doesn't actually accomplish anything. So I think that you probably should have kept pulse for somebody else. You go back. You try to go for the flank. I think you're good here. You should at least have first point pretty easily. Yeah. All right. So first point goes pretty well. I think you played very well. I think you played strong enough that I think you deserve to win this game. Right. Again, an A to F scale where like we say B is you should stay in the rank, and you know B is climb, A is like super climb. I think this feels like a B+ game. I think this feels very good so far. I don't know that's even worth shooting this because I think this kind of just reveals you. I know that the Ram and the Soldier can see you, but the backline can't see you necessarily. I don't think it's worth shooting the Soldier for how little damage you do and like the reveal, right? And it forces a blink. I think I would have just looked and be like, okay, and then gone down here and then tried forcing the fight against the backline. I think you're playing too passively right now, like way too passively. So I think that you should be playing this like close right flank. So May's here. You have to watch out for the icicle headshots, which is unfortunate. That's kind of weird. So you shoot most of this at the Ramatra, and then you take off, but you both don't reload and don't keep shooting, which is like the worst possible option. You should have reloaded right away. Your uptime just not very good in this fight. Like you're not having any impact because you're playing so defensively. I think it was really important at the beginning when you had the opportunity to hold this close space, right? Imagine that their team can't go left because you're playing there, right? Then they're only forced to go to the right, which allows your team to just widen the angle out and gives them much more space. I think that playing back here was a big mistake, and then results in you just not having an impact. Your team ends up dying, and then is what it is. Okay, you've traded tanks, so you're still trying to turn this around. You're not doing any damage at that range, unfortunately. Right? You see how little damage you do? Like, you kind of need to get a little closer. Tracking's bad there. At least you force Swift Step here. Yeah, you really want your Brig or somebody to heal you. Ideally, your Brig. Yeah, your poor supports are very engaged. I would definitely spam I need healing in this situation. Yeah, watch out for the heavy skull headshots. Good job. Okay, so right here, you see the Moira, or a Sojourn right here, who's super low. And I think I would have killed her, as she is much easier. I go after her eventually, than killing the Mei, but ends up dying. It's fine. Alright, you're doing setup. It's good. Again, I think this is a bad poke. They don't know you're here. They definitely do not know you're here. I guarantee you the Ramattra has no idea that you're here. Your little poke right here for like 15 damage reveals yourself to the whole team. Don't do this. I think this is the single biggest like obvious mistake that I've seen, is that sometimes you poke people when they don't know where you are, and it gives you away. Also, right here, first of all, you missed like 3/4 of this on a tank, which is bad. A. B. Shooting a tank is useless right now. The tank's never gonna die in this situation. Even you stuck him with Pulse, he's not gonna die here, right? The whole team is here to support him. He has all of his cooldowns. He's too strong. He's too strong right now. You should have immediately gone to the left and gone to the Kiriko or somebody else. Forcing the Kiriko to Swift Step into this would have been a nightmare for them. That should have been your goal. He's purpled. Now you can go for the kill. You're one-shottable by Kiriko, so I would be careful here. Your poor supports are just never healing you. Or rather, you poor DPS are not being healed by your supports. Alright, you play conservatively there, which I think is fine. Coalescence goes off. Sticking Moira during Coalescence, really good play, by the way. She's too far here for you to go for it, but I would definitely always be thinking about that, because she can't fade during it, and obviously it also shuts down her ulti. So, one thing you could have done right there, if you know the timing, is wait the block out and then throw Pulse onto her as she comes out of it. I honestly think I would try to do that if I were you, because it's good skill to train yourself to get better. Because you're eventually, like, you'll face Maze more and more, I think, at higher ranks, where I think they're more popular, especially as a tracer counter. I think it's good to know it. And honestly, even if you're close, like not exactly a stick, even just having it blow up like a moment after she comes out is still, like, it falls to the ground initially, can be enough to kill her. Alright, so they've gotten Winston now. Actually, let's back up a little more. Kiriko's up here. You get lit. Oh, Kiriko just wrecked you. Alright, Winston's in. This is another good example where you poke, but like you're way too far away to do any damage. You see how little damage you've done to the Winston? Like, you've done 6 damage to the Winston. It's not worth poking at this distance. You already have Pulse anyway. Right, which reveals to the whole team where you are. You get tagged by the Soldier, which is really important for breakpoints. You shoot the Winston. Don't bother shooting the bubble right now. Like, clearly nobody in your team is looking at or shooting this bubble at all. So it's not you alone. It's a waste of time. So you need to get to the back line quickly, right, and look for that sticky. You're wasting your time right now. See, you're still wasting your time. Winston's on you. I would consider a solo stick after he jumped, because he's obviously separated from his team. So right now, I think if you blink here, if you had full ammo, right, you know he doesn't bubble, you know he doesn't have jump. So right here, if you just reload, walk into him, throw sticky, empty a clip into his head, and then blink away, he dies. Yeah, now you missed a sticky. Honestly, you haven't had any good stickies. Or any stickies at all. I don't think you had a single kill from sticky yet. Which is tough because, you know, it's it is your ultimate. It is one of the weakest ultimates of the game because of its inconsistency, but I would note that if you don't land stickies, you will. I think diamond. You could probably even climb to high diamond, but masters will be a challenge. I think you would struggle in masters without being able to land stickies, especially stickies on tanks. So Winston pokes you out a lot. Just wastes a lot of resources here. Sojourn pokes you again. Good opening the Mora. Try to forward follow the Mora, which is great. I don't think you fade here. I don't know. Or rewind. I don't know why you rewind here. Oh, overclock. That's why. Okay, I understand now. I can't hear it well in the replay. Yeah, I would just die now. So they're definitely switching to a comp, which is getting harder and harder for you to get value as Tracer. But you wasting time was a huge part of it. Like you didn't land any pulses that game, right? Or yeah, you did land one Stucky on the Sigma, but you haven't gotten any kills from pulse in the first 2 rounds. You didn't get any pulse kills in this round, and you wasted a bunch of time in a crucial fight. So I can kind of see like the direction that's going. I think that again, I think you do really well until the team actively starts playing against Tracer, and then things start falling apart a bit for you. But I think that you're mechanically very good at Tracer. So I don't think I blink in here. I think I would just stay out because I want to get another clip on the D.Va before she gets back, right? You do 240 damage. You give this up by blinking over here. Like, you're not in any danger on the low ground. There's nobody who's going to be able to kill you here, you know? Like, if you just stay here, you get another full clip into the D.Va, and that makes a huge difference in the fight. Like, you're only missing 20 health right there, and your supports are about to come out. That extra 200 damage makes a big difference. And yeah, because there's not enough pressure on the D.Va, D.Va ends up kind of pitting in your team, and the wall goes off. That's all over. Try to stay alive here. It's tough. You die. Yeah, I mean, your options are pretty limited once this all starts falling apart. I think the tip that I would have is recognizing, hey, this fight's lost. Like, once I see that this happen, I know this fight's lost. I want to save all of my blinks right now, so that way I can rewind and use blink to get away. Instead, you run into, I think, a common Tracer problem, which is where you try to use blinks to stay alive, and then you try to rewind once the blinks don't work, but then you have no blinks and no rewind. So I would think about that. So now you're in stagger mode. So once this happens, you should have stopped shooting and then walked up. Well, maybe you would have eaten it anyway. So it's interesting that when you go here and then you go back, you're 86 health. I would have. I know it's tough. I think if you're gonna rewind, yeah. So here's the problem again, right? Either you decide I need to rewind right away, or you decide I'm gonna try to blink this out. I think that I would reround right away and then try to keep the pressure up on the D.Va. Because right now is honestly a pretty good opportunity for me to continue putting pressure. I have the Mega here. Or just like get out completely. Let's see this engage. Again, I don't know what this melee is. A really critical moment for damage. So you know the Mora has faded. That was a really good opportunity to go up there and try to look for a pulse. Like, you're playing too scared now. Miss pulse again. I'm sure they're like probably pulse throwing guides online, because from what I can see, your pulses aren't even close. Right? Like, I knew like right away this pulse is not gonna land because you're too far away. Like, hypothetically, maybe it would have landed on her if she didn't die, but I don't think so. I think that would have missed regardless. Yeah, that's fine. So you have to be better at accuracy here. No one's looking at you. You're perfectly safe, right? You got to land like 80% plus accuracy here, and you're much worse than that. Right? That's 60% tops, but this one I think is even worse. Yeah, that's probably only like 35% accuracy. You can't miss that much. Right? And again, if you landed that, that would have been huge because the Moira would have died and your Hanzo would have lived. So I mean, like the Winston is just in here, but this doesn't make any sense. Like, there's no way you're gonna win this fight. Anybody in the game is gonna win this fight. Like, you should just farm pulse and get out. But you die late. Unfortunate. So Zyra's in. You saw, saw Moria's fade. I don't think you start shooting from this far away. I think you just get a little bit closer. Like, I think you blink one more in, and then just blow her up on the ground. Right? If you blinked right here, and then empty the whole clip in her face, like, you potentially one clip her here. Another pulse. You're very lucky to get the kill on this pulse. I'm pretty sure she walks backwards into this. Yeah, this pulse is way off. See? Like, you did not deserve that kill whatsoever. Now your aim's really starting to fall apart. Like, look at this Kiriko right now. Like, that's 10% aim maybe at point blank. You can't miss that much. Doing a good job staying on point. Yep, there you go. That's much better aim. That's terrible aim. That's like horrendous aim. Right? It's like you fired all 40. I'm not counting the shots on the Moira, which are obviously not meant for the Moira, and you hit like, I don't know, 3 or 4. Like, that's 10% aim-ish or worse. Stagger and Diva. So you have to play perfectly from here on out. I'm thinking that I probably need to time a pulse for their attack. I definitely want to pulse early and just kill them and wipe. Because if I pulse early, like let's say right now, you had the opportunity to pulse in and kill the Moira and Hanzo, let's say. Would you do it? I think no. And this is a very situational thing to think about. Why? Because if I kill the Moira and the Hanzo right now, great. They die, they respawn, and they get right back up here in 15 seconds. Okay, so that's only going to take like 20% off the clock. I have to be perfect the entire rest of the game. There's no way I can hold off another 53% without ulti. So I want them to come in and start expending resources. Then I want to pulse them. If it was a regular situation where the percentage were more even, I would take that. I would take that pulse. But right now, where I have to be perfect, I would not do that. I don't think this is a good reaction to Winston jump. So I think the correct reaction here is to go forwards. Blink forwards and continue putting pressure at the choke. So what happens here is that you blink backwards, still take some damage from Winston, then you miss your blink to get back on. So now you've wasted 2 of your blinks, now your third blink, and you're not able to do anything to help anybody right now. This is really, really bad. This is a very poor response to Winston. Your aim feels like it's gotten much worse in the third round. And I don't know if it's like the situations are just different, but watch on the Winston how bad your tracking is. So everything seems okay so far. So you're gonna reload. Right? And like I get that he jumped, but you weren't even on target when before he jumped. So I don't know if this is like nerves or whatever's getting to you. Now the game's close, but it's pretty ugly now. Like in general, I would have said that your tracer aim was actually better than mine in round 1. But in round 2, I would say it's maybe in my ballpark, and in round 3, I would aim significantly better than you in tracer. So I understand the Moira's low here. I think it's the right idea to try to kill her, but your aim just isn't there. You're going to be forced to rewind here. Ends up being okay. You end up winning this fight. Oh, by the way, what happened to that previous pulse that you wasted? Yeah, right idea, wrong execution. Right? I think it was the right time to pulse, but you just whiffed it completely. So another great example of where like you're just not playing against Winston well. So he jumps in, he puts his bubble. Okay, you could have walked into the bubble and shot him, right? You could have blinked in and shot him. You could have just reloaded, then blinked, then shot him. But instead, you just wasted all your shots into the bubble. You wasted 2 blinks here. Again, who cares, right? The Winston's clearly going to change position again. So you wasted 2 blinks to get over to a position where the Winston now leaves you and now goes after your Ana, instead of going to the left and dealing with the rest of the team. There's way too much tank priority here in your play as Tracer. And I think it's because it's the safest position. It's good getting that kill on that Winston, obviously, but I think that it is not, in general, the right call. I'm surprised you didn't rewind right away. Right here, I would have rewind. Or rewound. At 23 health, floating in the air, I would have rewound. You're actually crazy to wait on that. You're really bad at shooting at people from above. Right? I like the way, the one moment where you would have landed a shot in the Kiriko, you actually did not fire. So you get super confused here. So you blink in. Again, just strafe to the right, right? If you blink and you're not under any pressure, just strafe to the right to give yourself a chance to kind of acquire what's going on. Unlucky. You hear, well, I wouldn't say unlucky. You actually hear the dragon coming, but you don't have a blink. Yeah, there's not much you can do about that. But I think in general, kind of rewinding that fight back with what should you have done differently? Again, I would think, hey, tank goes in, let the tank go in, go after the back line. Right? I think that you should be peeking like here and then getting ready to go over the top, right? Depending which direction they're going. So Winston goes in, right? I think that again, I blink probably this way, right? Or I think you have 2 options. 1, blink this way, blow up the Sojourn right away because you still have rewind. Option 2 is I blink out this way and just hold the Hanzo here as long as I can. Because even if you just hold the Hanzo back while he's like trying to kill you and just like wait and keep him in the corner and then blink in, you'll be fighting a 5-on-4. So I think that you have numerous good options there. At this point, what could you do differently? I think again, it's the right idea to go after the back line. You completely whiff this entire clip on the Kiriko. Then you go in, right? The Sojourns should be your target right now. You mostly whiff that, and then you blink into Dragon. So accuracy really lets you down. I think in 3rd round in particular is really where things go awry. Oh wow, you get rezzed. Pretty good tracking there, right? There's an extra blink that I did not feel was necessary. Oh, you should rewound. Right? Because now you're going to rewind you waited too long, and now you're not gonna rewind with full health. Like right here, I would just rewind. That way you go back to here with 150 health, and you can keep fighting. Instead, you wait too long, right? You have the problem where again you try to blink, and then you decide to rewind. Now you don't have full health, and you don't have full ammo, right? Notice that you rewind back, you don't even have full ammo. I guess you do have full ammo. Finally get on a stick. I get Suzu'd. Rough. Okay. What to say? Number one, pulse bombs. Obviously, your pulse bombs are useless all game long. Like if we literally disabled your pulse completely, it wouldn't have made any difference on this game. You're getting on an A to F scale, like basically F value out of your pulses. You just need to be able to stick them, throw them at the right times, but mostly you got to be able to stick them. That's number one. Number two, accuracy is letting you down, especially in the third round where I think you had a lot of good opportunity. I think second round was actually a different issue, but third round accuracy is probably your single biggest problem. Just getting close to people, having opportunities, but like whiffing 0 to 10% accuracy on people at close range, can't have that. Not if you want to climb into high diamond masters. That's number two. Number three, in-fight positioning and specifically keeping your uptime higher, right? We highlighted that at the end, at the second point, at the beginning, right? So this is probably the most salient example where I think you have a good position here, but then you give this up way too quickly, right? Way too quickly. Oh, actually, sorry, that's actually too far. At the beginning of the fight. So you go up here, coming back here, right, when you have basically full health, is a big mistake. And the second you did that, I thought, hey, I think you're gonna lose this fight, because now it's much harder for you to apply any pressure to them because of your positioning. It's just not as good, right? With the ram shield there, nobody actually playing close to you on the left, like you're not gonna be able to do anything here. Versus if you played here, continue going after supports, you could have had a lot more value in the situation. So just maximizing your uptime and good space control, that you always have like a path to the enemy backline, is really, really important. And I think that's again why you did so well in first point, was continually taking the outside coast flank allowed you to apply pressure to them constantly in the backline. And number five, I would say again, micro positioning mistakes that you make a lot. When we looked at like here, when the Winston dives you in particular, and then you just react very poorly to it, right? And then you waste a lot of blinks. I would say also number six is the thing I noticed about, hey, like we're getting pressured, decide if you're going to rewind. I would say max one blink to stay alive, right? But especially if you're low on blinks, I would say, hey, often it's better to save your blinks, rewind, and use the blinks to get out. Because sometimes you get put in situations where rewinding and then blinking will get you out as the only option. Like blinks or rewind alone will not be enough. So blinking first and then rewinding will not actually help you. You need the rewind and the blink to get out, if that makes sense. I think as a Tracer player, you'll understand what I mean, like right away. Other people watching this who are not Tracer players may not understand exactly what I mean, but it'll be pretty clear, I think, to a Tracer main that that's what's going on here. Right, but let's go back to this again as like micro positioning mistakes. Again, Winston comes up to you, right? Wasted 2 blinks right there, wasted 3 blinks, and like you lost out the opportunity to do like 400 plus damage because of this. Okay, hopefully it's helpful.